All right, welcome to the third SketchUp tutorial. In this one, we're going to be modeling the same box, but complete. So by the time we finish this, we'll be able to treat each of the pieces like they will be in real life, like an actual piece of wood. So some of the new skills and tools you'll be using today, um, we're push-pulling in different directions. We're push-pulling to make something disappear entirely. We are going to do rotate and copy. We're going to mirror. We're going to modify components so that you can take a component where you have four of them and then make two of them different. That's pretty useful. We're going to play around with styles. Let's see where it goes. So I'm going to use these same measurements as I had from last time. Keep it simple, and I'm going to draw my box over here on the right, and I'm starting with one of the end pieces. Now, eventually I'm going to end up with two sides that have rabbits in them. I'm going to have one solid end, that's this end of the box, and I'm going to split another one. I'll basically make a handle on its own. Um, and I'm actually going to create that from one of the other components. It'll be an interesting one. You'll learn some things. Um, Anyways, starting out with a rectangle, I'm just working on the flat plane that we start with every time, and I'm typing in 0.625, that's 5/8, and 4.5, so 6.625 comma 4.5. There's my start. I'm going to push pull that 3.5, enter. By the way, if I use my mouse from the left, um, or sorry, from the right, anything that it touches is selected. Um, if I work from the left to the right, I need to fully go around something for it to be selected. So you'll notice up here, it's not selecting that, but if I go right to left, it does. Anyways, I am selecting this entire end, right click, make component, and I am naming it end. Um, so anyways, there's an end. I'm going to double click and edit it. And the reason that I created a component first is it keeps things simple. So I'm just creating two guidelines here, one at the top, one at the bottom. They're both 1/4 inch up from the top or from the bottom. And I'm going to create these dados. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a pair of dados. This one at the bottom, um, I'm making it different from this one on the top, just so that you can see. So I'm typing in 0.25 comma 0.25, just so that you can see that we can make the same thing in different ways. So I'm using the push-pull tool for both of these. I'm just clicking and dragging that square along, and you'll notice that it does delete that when it gets to the end. And this time, I'm actually inferencing up here at the top, so I'm going in 1/4 inch. It gets you to the same place, two different ways of doing it, totally fine. So there it is, there's my end. I'm just going to reopen that or edit that and get rid of those two guidelines. I'm going to reselect it and hit Q. Q gives me the rotate tool. So I can rotate this in a bunch of directions. Typically, I want to see that protractor be red, blue, or green. If you see it and it's black, it means it's rotating in a weird compound angle. It will be difficult to deal with. So what I'm doing here, I want to see it blue. If I hold shift, it should stay blue. And I'm hitting control again. So by hitting control, it means that I'm making multiples. I'm going to type in 90, enter, and then I'm going to hit 3x, just like we did the other day. So now I've got four end pieces. Now this isn't ideal. They're not lined up exactly where I want them to be, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do now is move these around. And And when I move things, I usually try really hard to grab a useful corner. At this point, I'm going to move that to there. I'm just hitting the space bar. Oops, I grabbed that. Oh, you know what? That was the right corner. And I hit the space bar. That gives me the select tool. And then when I'm moving these, I want to grab a nice point. Now, there's a box. It's not right. I don't have rabbits on the sides. The dimensions aren't correct. So I'm actually going to use my tape measure tool, 8 3/4. That's a measurement that I want to know. I could go 10 inches. So I'm going to just use that as a guideline to move this. So I'm going to hold shift to make sure that I'm on the red axis. And I'm going to bring that over and grab on, use that guideline so that I know that it's 10 inches from the outside of this to the outside of that. So at the moment, I've got 4 of these. These are all the same thing. What I want to do is make the sides different. So I'm going to right click, make unique. What that does is it means that if I edit this, I'm only going to be editing these 2 components. So I'm just going to push pull that, and I'm taking it to this edge. You'll notice it's done something weird. It's run that in the other direction. That's okay. To finish this off, I need to make my rabbits. So I'm going to do a guideline there. And I'm just going to draw a line. So I'm drawing a line from the top to the bottom. And I'm just going to push pull that one little section, and I'm going to inference on this. That gives me a piece that I'd like right there. Okay. I need to do the same thing at the other end. So I'll spin around. I use my tape measure tool, 1/4 of an inch in, a line from that intersection to the bottom, push pull, and I'm inferencing over to that other edge. That's given me sides. I'm now going to move this one so that it fits where it should. So you'll notice I grabbed the corner of the rabbit because it's a useful thing. I could also grab that back corner, line it up. So now I have a better box. Now I have a box that has details. I can kind of explode that. Come on. Click. There we are. There's the pan. I do want to get rid of those guidelines. I can get rid of one. I'll have to edit this to get rid of the other one, but that's a little less confusing. I'm actually going to move this end out because I want to turn that into a handle. So oddly enough, I'm going to work outside of this component, and I'm inferencing. So you'll notice I came over to this corner first, and I'm basically just drawing all the way around, and you see that it's changed color. So at this point, I'm going to push pull, and I am still working outside of that component. If I triple click, hit G for make a component or group, I'm going to call it the handle. So there it is. Now to make space for that handle, I basically need to push pull that top section away. And to do that, I'm going to make this unique because I don't want to have an open end at the other end of the box. So I right click, make unique, double click, I'm editing that. I'm just drawing a line. Let's zoom in on this. I'm drawing a line across, push pull, 4.5, or I just drag it down to the end. I'm going to erase that line to clean it up. And there we are. So I'm going to move this one back into place. And I'm going to select these 2 things. So I've selected both of those by using the Shift key. And I'm just going to drop this back in place. So there we are. That's given us the basics to the box. To finish this off, I need to create the top and the bottom. So I'm grabbing the rectangle tool again, and I do need it to be bigger than this inside space. I need it to be the size of this inside rectangle plus 1/4 of an inch in. So for that, I'm going to use the offset tool again. One thing to be aware of, if you draw a rectangle like that up against other items that aren't components, it's going to cause you headaches. So this is one of the reasons that I always use components. So I'm selecting that surface, I'm typing in 0.25, and that has given me a wider edge. If I grab the erase tool, I don't want to delete that. What am I doing here? So single click, double click, triple click. I'm just going to move this straight up away from the box a little bit so that I can erase that inside rectangle. So I'm just erasing the inside rectangle. Push pull, 0.25 of an inch. Triple click, group, top. You could call it top and bottom, whatever you want. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to move it so that it's on that face. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to then be able to move it down 1/4 of an inch, and it should be in its right place. Something that we're going to do here is play around with styles. There's a bunch of styles that come up. I'm going to go with default styles, and this one is useful. So if I click on X-ray, double click, there it is. I should then be able to see if my top and bottom are in the correct locations. So when I orbit around, you'll notice that the height of that top is in the right location. And you'll notice that it is selected at the moment. So if I hit M, Control, I'm actually going to go from that center point straight down and hopefully get it to land where I want it to go. So there it is. I've now got a top and bottom. I'm going to go back to a normal modeling view. They're all slightly different, but they all work basically the same. So that gives me kind of where did my handle disappeared? What happened to my handle? We'll have to figure that out. Anyways, I should be able to select independent objects and move them around. You can do an exploded view of something in this way. I would recommend that you move them all equally. Keep that movement on the green or the red axis. I really do wonder what happened to my handle. That is so weird. Anyways, there's the basics. I've lost my handle. It's okay. I can make a new one again. By the way, if I come up here on the right, oh no, that's the instructor. I want the components, not materials, components. There it is. If I click on that, I should be able to find the handle. And here it is. There's my handle. So I've got the handle back. I don't know. Oh, there's the end. Weird. So anyways, there's the basics. I've got 15 seconds to wrap this up. I would clean that up, play around with these toolbars so that you see what's happening. I hope your handle doesn't disappear on you. Keep your useful items as components. That's it. I'm done.